So Mark, real quick, man. The fact that you pause like that tells me that you're a good man, right? Like
Because
I
people
think that
actually do run from the police.
right, but I think that the reason that everything that we say, you kind of pause and you think about it, and you're kind of stuck. I think that's because you're a good guy and you're a good man, and I think that deep down inside, you know that this shooting was not justified. But it's hard for you to say that because in a way that would kind of admit that this whole ICE thing might be wrong, but that's not what we're saying here. We're already. I get that you support ICE. I get that you support Trump and everything like that, and I respect it. I respect your opinion. But what I'm saying is this one here, I think that even you could deep down know that this wasn't right, man, because you are a good dude. And that's why it's making it so hard for you to argue it, because you know that this wasn't justified.
There's a conversation to be had.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Welcome to the Conversation to Be Had podcast. I'm your host, Charlo. That's Rashawn, my co-host. We're back with another episode. Today we're going to talk about the recent ICE shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it right.
Oh, okay. Of Renee Good. And we're just going to get right into it. I ain't going to even go into a soliloquy. I'm going to bring my guys out. Let me see. We got V with us.
What's up, V?
What's up?
Mark.
My guy Mark.
What's going on, guys?
Not too much.
So, man, we're going to watch this video and then we're going to talk about it.
With the very latest on what's happening there. Garrett, good afternoon.
Yeah, Trace, good afternoon. This new video will be a crucial piece of evidence in this investigation because it was recorded by the agent himself, and it shows the events leading up to the shooting from his point of view. Here is that entire video.
I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. It's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Oh!
Vice President J.D. Vance reacted to this new video on X, saying, many of you have been told this law enforcement officer wasn't hit by a car, wasn't being harassed, and murdered an innocent woman. The reality is that his life was endangered, and he fired in self-defense.
Well, guys, that's it.
So I find it interesting that Fox didn't really show the whole video. They cut it off at the end because there was a portion of that video where you hear the officer say "F that bitch,"
Right.
After he shoots. So that was kind of interesting to me as well, because they touted it as here's the full video, but they didn't even show the full video, and you got to ask yourself why.
That's what I was saying. Like, that's not the whole video, because if they played his video from beginning to end, things look different. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like that part is what it is,
Right.
but it's different when you see the other part.
Absolutely. I think that it's crazy how polarized this nation is over this, and to me, it's just astounding to me how everybody can all see the same thing but come to different conclusions depending on what side of the aisle you're on. So I guess maybe Mark, I mean, do you think that this was a justified shooting?
I do.
You do? And
Yes.
why would you say that?
Because when you look at the video, he was walking in front of the car
Mm-hmm.
when the other agents said, "Get out of the car."
Mm-hmm.
And she purposely accelerated. That's using her car as a weapon, which justifies him firing his weapon.
Okay. What about you, Charlo? What do you think?
Uh, I think that officer, he wasn't trying to de-escalate the situation, which is what they're supposed to do. Okay, if I see you in a car, what I mean, what? Why would I jump in front of it? Like, if anything, I'm going to stand to the side, shoot your tires out, maybe throw a couple shots in the engine. If I'm trying to stall you, I mean, what? This is what I got out of it, because you know how I am. Okay, so I'm looking at the video and I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's not that serious. I mean, just let her go. Let her go past. And if you want to call the locals to pull her over for, her license plate light being out or whatever you want to do, I mean, and that's fine. But there wasn't you're talking, there's houses on this street. So we're not talking like you're not at Times Square or anything like that. There's not that great of amount of people there. So I'm trying to figure out why the situation got to where a woman gets shot in the face. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I get,
Absolutely.
okay, you guys are doing what you're doing. She's protesting, but where, like, the only person with a gun is you. Where does it get to the point where you shooting her in the face?
Yes.
I'm just saying. I mean, her natural response is going to be to pull off if you got guys trying to jump in the car and pull her out the car or whatever they were doing. Like, that's a whole police situation, and you have to be trained to de-escalate from there. But I mean, I know they didn't train them to jump in front of the car. That's not what you do. Okay, yeah, if you're in front of the car and she's into it with another officer, anything could happen. The officer could reach in the car and that car could pull off. Why would you jump in front of the car? I don't like, I'm just saying, I can kind of a little, I mean, just an inkling understand why he shot her, because he was in front of the car and it looked like he was, gonna get ran over. I get that part, but why would you be in front of the car? Like, what part of your training taught you, okay, in order to stop a vehicle, I just stand in front of the car? I'm trying to, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. That's my take on it.
I feel you. What about you, V?
Yeah, I don't feel that this was a justified shooting. And when you look at all of the angles, because there's been several publications, the Washington Post and New York Times and so forth, that have taken all of the videos, because there's plenty and plenty of eyewitnesses. And it's almost 10 minutes long from beginning to end. And what you see is the beginning of the altercation, the ending of the altercation, and then there's almost 8 minutes after that, after the death happened, of what happened with the officer that shot the person and the interactions between him and everyone else. And what we see is that in the beginning, she's being told two different things by two different officers. One officer is telling her to get out of the car. Another officer that you can hear, and this is when you go to the New York Times or something else so you can see a couple of minutes before the actual engagement happened, another officer is telling her to get the hell out of the road. So she's being told two different things by two different officers. Then you had one officer go to her car door and physically try to open the door, and that's when she backs up to turn to the right and to get out of harm's way, essentially. And you see the shooter, what he does is that you can actually see where his legs were, and his legs actually went in the direction of the car, and he pulled out his phone. So he wasn't in danger at that time, because immediately he pulled in front of the car to film her. I don't know why an ICE officer has to film her. You have body cameras anyway. So he felt the need to film her, and then he had time to then pull out his gun. So he had his phone and his gun out at the same time. If you're in immediate threat, something tells me you don't hold on to your phone. And so then in some angles, particularly the one by Channel 5 News, I think it was, where it's the one where you're seeing it from the far side as opposed to the side of the shooter, but from the side where she actually slams in, you can make the determination that she touched him when she moved to the right. But then when you look at other angles, it's clear that she backed up so she wouldn't touch him. And then so she literally moved like this out of the way. And then the first shot is directly when he is still partly in front of the vehicle. And then shots number 2 and 3, he literally is behind the vehicle at this point, and he's still shooting her. So at this point, you can't even say there's a threat going on, yet he's still shooting her. Why? So even if you can say the first shot was in self-defense, there's no way in hell you can say the second and third shot are because of self-defense.
No, and on your point about the cell phone, I found it interesting too, is that if you watch the video, you see that he has a cell phone in his like right hand at first, and then he goes around the back, he switches it over to his left hand so he can put his hand on the gun. So that to me shows like motive, like, okay, I'm about to go over here. Because why do you need to put your hand on your gun as you're going around the back of the car? There's no threat. So to me, it kind of tells me that, okay, he's already primed and ready to enact some sort of violence or something like that, you know. Another thing that kind of made me upset was that after the shooting, he just gets up and leaves. Like, who leaves the scene of a shooting? Like, who gets into a van after somebody gets shot and murdered and just leaves? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me is very suspect as well. But yeah, those are definitely some very good points. And that's one of the things that I was basically was trying to tell people, that what he did was tactically was terrible. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know that he's an Army veteran. I know that he's been trained and he's been on ice for a long time. But what he did was terrible. And if you go back historically, because he's the same guy that got dragged like 20 feet in June, it's the same thing. As an officer, you're not supposed to reach your hand inside of a car window and try to open up a door. And that's what he did back then. Ended up getting dragged like 20 feet. So to me, I feel like, you know,
try to stop a car with your body. Like, that's what I'm saying. Who trained you?
I think it's just
trained you.
But from the video that we just looked at, right?
Right.
He gets out of his truck
Mm-hmm.
with his phone in his hand. He does a 360-degree walk around the truck. That's what that video showed.
Mm-hmm.
When he's crossing over the front, the other officers say, "Step out of your car." He's still in front of her car, which is still not in motion. But he's crossing over, and the other officers say, "Step out of your car," and that's when she guns it. So, was it a bad decision to continue walking around the car? Yes, I agree with that. However,
she didn't gun it either, dude.
You gotta think she's starting from like zero. That car was like it's not 0 to 60 in 1 second. You know, that to me was like, you know, she wasn't going
2 miles an hour.
Yeah,
at most.
at that point. Would you agree?
Okay. So I agree. She probably wasn't going that fast, and that's why he got a bruised hip, and that's all, and that's why he went to the hospital, because his hip was hurting. Whatever. So I don't think that you can say, because she was only traveling at 2 miles an hour, it negates her using her car as a weapon. She was still using her car as a weapon.
So you think she intentionally?
Yeah, I think that's what it does negate. It negates the intent. Like, if I'm going to try to run you over, Mark, I'm not going to go 2 miles an hour.
And I'm not going to back up
full speed. I'm not going to swerve. I'm not going to swerve to try to not hit you or anything. I'm going straight at you, pedal to the metal. That's exactly. I mean, that's it's clear. I'm not going to go 2 miles an hour and make a right turn to try to avoid you. If I'm trying to hit you.
See the pictures of the windshield and the headrest?
Yes, I saw those.
Right. So when you look at those videos, that first round he fired went through the windshield, through her, through the headrest, to the back of the car. Right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I know it went through the windshield. I didn't know it went through the headrest, but I did see the picture of the bullet hole through the windshield.
So there's a picture, and I'll try to find it. But there's a picture where it shows the headrest, and the bullet went straight through. Now, when you look at that angle of that bullet and you saw the video, you know he's a right-handed shooter, right? He had his gun in his right hand. So that's how he fires. In order to
Man,
fire,
that's plain, Mark.
in order to fire parallel like that,
Mm-hmm.
he has to be in front of the car when that round went off.
Okay, so I see what you're
So,
saying. Okay, so
so he couldn't have been to the side when the first round went off.
He
Mark,
could
yes,
have
he can.
actually.
Yes,
He could have.
if he's at the corner of the car, if he's at her left, if he's at the driver's side headlight, and he's got his right hand out, that's exactly how it's gonna. Because she swerved to not hit him. That's why he was by the driver's side headlight and not directly in front of the car. He started off that way, and she moved to the right to get out the way. Dude, I mean, it's not like we gotta to super analyze the film. I mean, it's clear to see she wasn't. I mean, if you look at that and you think that she was trying to run him over and she was being malicious, I mean, I don't, man, come on, dude. Like, now, was she in violation of some law or something? And that I can't say. And that might be true. But what I'm saying is, like, if you look
Okay,
at that
so
and you
is it
and then
illegal to run from the police?
yeah, it's fleeing and evasion.
didn't I just ain't that what I just said? If
Yeah,
she was in violation of the law or something like that, I don't. That's not what I'm speaking on. But then another thing that I want to get into is, I mean, are we just going? What she need to realize was she's handling this situation from a stance of honestly privilege. Because if you change up the color on her skin, I probably would have been out the car with my hands on my head, and something bad probably could have still happened to me. You understand what I'm saying?
I
Like,
do.
we're trained to automatically surrender unless we plan on risking it all. You know what I'm
But I
saying?
think that's where the politicians are coming in, telling these people, hey, resist, fight,
I mean,
intervene, disrupt them, all of that.
but them ladies were out there with cell phones, and I mean, like I said, Mark, I mean, you're on a street, and what she was doing, the most you could have, like, let's say she did get out the car, right? The most you're gonna get her for is some kind of traffic fine or something like that, because that's the most law that she was breaking. So how do you get from that to getting, taken out the box and shot in the face? Like, how do you get to that point?
It's a little more because she was interfering with them like 5 minutes earlier. I think I posted the video, Rashawn.
Mm-hmm.
She was interfering. There was a lot of stuff
How,
going
Mark?
on before that video.
Mark, I understand it because it's a protest. But what I'm saying is, how was she interfering? Her car was in the way.
Well, when you look at what they were doing prior, yeah, essentially she was trying to stop ICE from removing somebody from the area.
By doing what? How was she trying to stop them?
She was using her vehicle.
Right. So that's the point I'm making, Mark. So at most you're looking at a traffic violation right now.
No, wait. When you look at the video, I think it was her wife's video or somebody on the sidewalk's video. I can't remember. The gray SUV crosses in front of her, and that was a nice vehicle with a smashed windshield from what had happened earlier, like 5 minutes earlier. That vehicle starts to cross in front of her, and she moves forward towards it, which is what prompted her to get stopped. You understand? So she had already used her vehicle as a weapon once, and now she's being stopped. So when she uses it as a weapon again, maybe she is just trying to drive off. Like, we don't know what her thought process was.
So can I ask you a quick question? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it's justifiable for him to think she's going to use her car again. Whether she meant to do it that way or not, it's a reasonable suspicion for him to have.
Can I ask you a quick question? Okay, so I got another question real quick. So I went to the U.S. Department of DOJ site, and on their actual site, I'm gonna read you a couple things, okay, brother? They say deadly force may not be used solely to prevent a suspect's escape. And the quote is deadly force, that's basically the quote. Another quote, firearms may not be discharged solely to disable moving vehicles. Or a vehicle is operating in a manner that threatens to cause death or serious injury, and no other objectively reasonably means of defense appears to exist, which includes moving out of the path of the vehicle. This is all from the Justice DOJ um, website. They say firearms may not be discharged from a moving vehicle except in extenuating circumstances. If feasible, a verbal warning to submit to the authority of officers shall be given prior to the use of deadly force, and warning shots are not permitted outside of the prison context. So what I'm saying is, even in the DOJ, this is our DOJ, the one that Christy Nome and all them tout. It says that you can't do what this man did. You don't think that there was some sort, real quick, you don't think that there was some sort of de-escalation or something like that maybe he could have done, or any of them could have done, rather than, just fire off and shoot this woman in the face? I mean, he got 3 shots off. All of them hit her. 2 in her face, man. You don't think that there was some sort of de-escalation, a better path? Because you got to think, you got to hold officers to a higher standard, man, than this. You don't believe that?
Absolutely. Officers are held to a higher standard. But let's go back for a second to where you were talking about what the DOJ website says, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot disable a vehicle using a firearm.
Right.
That's what it says, right? Which says to me, he can't fire into the engine block. He can't shoot the tires because that's against the rule. The only reason he fired was because she was accelerating forward towards him. So it is a self-defense shot, not a disabled a vehicle shot.
So real quick, okay, what would have happened? Okay, so you saw how close he was to this car, right? Let's just say she was accelerating forward. What was shooting her do? How would that stop the vehicle? How would that change the situation?
That's what I was just going to say.
You know what I mean?
Even if anything, like if she wasn't trying to move to the right, like if she was going straight and he was directly in front of the car, shooting her in the face would make her press the gas even more. It wouldn't stop the vehicle. It would make the vehicle keep going with nobody controlling it.
I completely agree with that. But
okay.
The question is, why did he pull the trigger?
Well, okay, so you said that we didn't know her mentality, but one of the things we do know from his phone and others is that she literally said, "I am not mad at you, man."
Dude. Yep.
And so then now we have to start playing detective or two-cent psychologist here, but
armchair quarterback.
Oh yeah. And so a lot of people, and I agree with the assessment, think that he was upset that she was not afraid of him, that she was actually being somewhat cordial and saying that she was not afraid of him and that she was not mad at him and that his authority was not being recognized by her. And then he saw this as an opportunity to put her in her place. And that's why even after he killed her, he said, "Effing bitch." Right? So like he had such disdain for her that even after he killed another human being, he did go on and say, "Okay, let's get her the help she needs so she doesn't die." His immediate response was effing bitch.
And on top of that, don't forget that he switched hands as he went around the back. So that's kind of, to me, is motive. You know what I mean? To exactly what you're saying. Like, why are we switching hands now? You know what I mean? Why'd you have to move over and put your hand on the gun as you went around to the front of it? That to me is kind of like motive, and it speaks more on what you're saying there.
Well, but he was also, when he switched hands, when he got to the driver's side rear of the car, that's also when he was passing between the car and her wife.
And that's still, and so I still got to ask you,
So
what would a
so
bullet have done? The bullet wouldn't have saved him. Shooting her wouldn't have shooting her, no matter what in that situation, would have ever saved him.
but
The only thing he
you're
could have did to save his life is what he did, moved out the way.
Seriously, that's it.
See
yes,
that
he
this is what I'm saying,
move
Mark.
out of the way. But little things.
We're putting the motive. Listen to hold on for a second.
Yeah.
We're putting the motive of her being her wanting some ill will to come towards him, and that's not it. Like I said, we got from a traffic stop to a shot to the face. How do you get
Well, she
there?
was being
Like
arrested.
she didn't
No,
arrested for what?
she was not being arrested.
They told her to get out of the car. Why do you
Yeah.
tell somebody to get out
No,
of the car?
one officer said to get out of the car. Another officer said to get out of the road. So who do you listen to?
So
The
this is what
situation didn't call for a gun. That's the whole thing. The situation didn't call for a gun. He could have got out the way, okay, and then because that's usually what they do, and then he jumps out the way and he says, "Oh, you tried to hit me," and then she gets a trying to assault a police officer, attempted assault. They add that kind of crap onto the traffic stuff that she's got. That's usually what happens.
So Mark, real quick, man. The fact that you pause like that tells me that you're a good man, right? Like
Because people actually do run from the police.
right. But I think that the reason that everything that we say, you kind of pause and you think about it, and you're kind of stuck. I think that's because you're a good guy and you're a good man. And I think that deep down inside, you know that this shooting was not justified. But it's hard for you to say that because in a way that would kind of admit that, this whole ICE thing might be wrong, but that's not what we're saying here. We're already, I get that you support ICE. I get that you support Trump and everything like that. And I respect it. I respect your opinion. But what I'm saying is this one here, I think that even you could deep down know that this wasn't right, man, because you are a good dude. And that's why it's making it so hard for you to argue it, because you know that this wasn't justified.
Well, see, this is the thing. You and I can have a discussion. Everybody can have their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Under the law, the way it is, right? The only parameter that matters is, would a reasonable police officer, under the same circumstances, do the same thing?
Well, okay, so why didn't any of the other officers shoot?
Well, right now, I don't know that nobody else shot.
It was just him.
Nobody else shot. There was no other guns fired. We know that.
So if everybody saw that as a threat, why is he the only one that shot?
I haven't seen anything that says he's the only one who fired.
See, that's the good in you right there. I'm telling you, Mark, that's the good in you, because you know deep down that this was not justified, brother. That's the good in you talking to you. Listen to it, man.
So when you look at the cops next to the car,
Right.
when it started, they drew their weapons. Did they fire or not? Until we get that information, we don't know.
Well, we know that the only officer.
I know he fired. I know
Right.
he fired.
Right.
I'm not right.
Right.
But if he fired all three shots, we got to figure out who fired what when. We know he fired the round through the windshield.
It was
They
him.
said he fired the other two out the back too.
Yeah, it was all him. I don't even think any of the officers had their guns drawn.
They didn't pull their guns.
They did
out,
it.
bro.
And the other thing
And
about
you got
the
a million
shooting,
people out there, bro. If there was more shooting going on, they would have seen. I mean, everybody filmed the whole thing. You got a million versions of this.
the other thing that's really, really, obviously, a woman died. That's horrible enough. But he fired discriminately. How many other bystanders could have been shot for no reason whatsoever? Shooting like there was a passenger in her car first of all, right? And then there were other people.
There was no passengers in her car except for the dog.
Right. So the dog was in the car, and I don't know if the wife was in the car and then left, right? During it, like she got out. But the bigger point here is that there were so many people on the middle of the street. A gunshot could have easily gone through a window and kill someone else. That is reckless. That is beyond the death of this woman, which is tragic in and of itself. It's just reckless to fire a weapon like that when there's 20, 30 people on the street. And they obviously aren't doing anything wrong. They're simply saying, get out of our town. And they're allowed to do that. That's a legal First Amendment expression of their rights. And so he could have easily killed one of them by accident. Right? That if this was a local police officer and not ICE, that would have been investigated as a separate issue because of the threat that he posed to the individuals that were just standing there on the street. What he did was highly illegal.
Cops can't shoot to defend themselves if there's people around.
No, you're making stuff up. What I said was that
it's not a separate issue.
It is a separate issue. First of all, there are two issues, I'll say. One was he actually under threat? Did he actually fear for his life? Number two is that when you fear for your life, you've taken action, but do you take an action that only prevents your life from being hurt, even if it's at the expense of innocent bystanders on the street? The point of all law enforcement officers is to protect the public at large. If you protect yourself, but you cause the death of other innocent bystanders, are you doing your duty? So in the case of a shooting, which again is as bad as it is, but in of itself, the extra additional issue here is that he did not care about the health and safety of anyone else there, including other officers that were in the area, just people standing on the street. He didn't give a crap about anyone. He got angry and shot his gun, and now the government has to protect him, because if they don't protect him, now they have to evaluate all 22,000 officers, all these raids that are going on right now, and they've escalated since then.
So, on what basis are you saying that he was angry? He wasn't saying
He said
anything.
fucking bitch, right? Like he literally was angry.
I was working on my camper. I put a screw through my finger and I said, fucking bitch, it hurts.
So you were angry.
So that he got hit by a car. He could have been saying it because of the car. We don't know.
So he was angry.
I know. So you're trying to put context on what he was thinking, and you have no clue what he was thinking.
I mean, I can tell by the words that he was angry. No one says fucking bitch when they're happy.
Okay, so I think he said fucking bitch because he got hit by a car.
That made him angry. So he was angry. Was he happy or was he angry?
Okay, but you said he's calling her a fucking bitch. And so you don't know how those words were directed.
Are you saying that he was not addressing the women that he thought was going to hit him with the car? You were saying he was just saying that as an expression to the world and that it wasn't directed towards the person that was shot?
Maybe he was saying it because his hip hurt. You don't know. You're making conjecture what he was saying.
We are basing opinions on the small amount of footage that we have. Of course. I mean, I'm going to make other assumptions as well. Just as you are making the assumption that his life was in danger. You don't know that.
Check this out.
Driving towards me, my life is in danger.
Okay, well, check this out, Mark. You can. It's cool to support ICE. I don't have a problem with that. But you can also support them without agreeing with some of their tactics. Like you can support ICE and they can be wrong.
Some of the stuff they're doing, I disagree with.
So look, like, check this out. So in this particular incident, we probably saw, I'd say probably at least 5 or 6 different versions on tape of what happened before Kristi Noem even came out with her speech. And when I heard her talk and I heard JD Vance talk, and I've seen the video before they talked, and I'm listening to it, and that's not what I saw. Like how they looked at it and saw all that, it was beyond me. And that's what had me thinking, okay, here comes the cover up. They're gonna justify this shooting. So as of now, I'm pretty sure it's considered justified. Do you think anything else is going to come out of this? Mark?
I don't really think the
Or even
aging
if
of
it
the
should?
smart.
Do you think it should?
I do. You guys are gonna hate what I'm gonna say, but that's okay. I think that ICE has been playing nice and not arresting people who are interfering and stuff. And I think they need to start doing that. There was a video, and I think it had something to do with this, where they grabbed one of the dudes grabbed one of the officer's guns. Like we need
Interfering,
to.
interfering or protesting.
Right. He was a protester, and he grabbed the rifle of one of the officers.
That's different.
And
That's, yeah, you can't grab an officer's
so
rifle. I get that, but I'm talking about. Do you think they should be
right,
arrested for that are just protesting?
not for just protesting. I think when they do stuff like that, instead of just hitting them with pepper balls and whatever, take them to jail for what
They
they did.
do.
If you grab any officer's gun, you're going to jail.
You're going to jail.
Yeah,
You're going
no,
to jail.
you definitely. And I
But
have
they
no problem.
haven't been. But they haven't.
But
They've
They have.
been very lenient on arrest.
I
Very
don't
lenient.
know. I have to disagree because we've seen the arrests that they're making. If you go to in Portland, if you walk over a blue line, we're not even talking about touching an officer. We're talking about someone that literally just mistakenly goes over this blue line that they said that is the point where, that's a DMZ here. They're violently taking them down and then detaining them and then giving them, the thing to appear in court. They are not being liked when it comes to detainment. What they know, however, is that they can only detain people so much because, first of all, they know that how many of them are just getting let go. Right? Because they've done nothing wrong. When we talk about the sandwich guy was charged with a felony for throwing a 6-inch subway at someone's chest. And then they called that assault. Now, why did he get off? Well, because no one in their right mind is going to put a guy in prison for throwing a goddamn sandwich at someone that's wearing a bulletproof vest and saying that's assault. Right. The problem that you're thinking is that simply yelling at an officer is what you're conflating as assault. No, it's protest.
No. I mean, technically speaking, under the law, if you throw a sandwich at somebody, or there was a video of a guy throwing bologna at ICE, anytime you use anything, a snowball, it's assault. Whether they're actually charged or not, probably not. A lot of stuff, like I said, they are letting a lot of people go.
so
They're detaining them, getting information. They're not necessarily charging a lot of people for this
Well,
stuff.
ICE does not charge. They don't have the ability to prosecute. That's not their job. The DA does, right? Whether they take that case and say, "Hey, local PD, send this to your DA," or they send it up to Pam Bondi and say, "Hey, make this a federal case." ICE does not prosecute. That is not their job. That they're not the organization in charge of bringing charges. What they do is detain people and then recommend charges to the DA, whether that's on the local level or the federal level.
So when an ICE agent arrests you, he is charging you, right? That's a charge. Whether it gets further is a different case.
And that's what
Different
what I'm
situation.
saying here is that the DA has been throwing. If you're saying they're being lenient, the DAs have been throwing a lot of their arrests out of the window. That's when you talk about like Robbie, that famous influencer that got arrested by ICE because he quote unquote crossed the blue line, even though he didn't. He was like 6 feet behind it.
But
He got
what I'm
he got.
saying is they're not even coming close to bringing all the charges, arresting, detaining people that they possibly could. They're being very lenient,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
they're
I think they're.
allowing
I
people
think that's
to express themselves and trying not to charge that many people
so. Let me ask you:
in
Would
that
you,
part.
Mark? You consider yourself a patriot?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you believe staunchly in the Constitution, right? And the
The
First
rules
Amendment.
of law are the only way we're going to be safe.
So you don't think that what's going on right now, the precedent that's being set, that doesn't scare you? Like what you're talking about right now, that doesn't scare you because what you're really talking about is inhibiting people from using their First Amendment right to protest. That's what you're saying. And if you're really a patriot, right, you really believe in the Constitution, this right here, the stuff that's going on with ICE should really, really scare you. It should put fear in your heart because what they're trying to do is silence these people. They're trying to silence these protests. And you're advocating for it by like, let's arrest these people. Now, nobody's saying that if a guy touches an officer's gun that they shouldn't be arrested. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Or if there's any other type of obstruction, like real obstruction. But protesting is our First Amendment right. And as a patriot, I would expect you to be like, okay, you know what? Nothing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Protest all you want. I don't care how much you protest.
Right.
I don't care. Like we had this discussion back in 2020. I don't care how much you protest, right? If you hurt somebody or you burn a building down or you smash a windshield or go to jail,
Yeah, those are crimes. I'm not debating that. I
right?
believe, yeah, those
And
are
that's what
crimes.
I'm saying is there are ICE vehicles getting windows smashed and stuff, and ICE isn't doing anything about it. They're just being like, all right, you know, they're protesting, they're mad, they're angry. We're not going to do anything about it.
See, I disagree, man. I think that ICE is too heavy-handed. I think that they're doing too much, you know, and I think it's only going to get worse because I mean, this budget is about to balloon for them. But I think with the stuff that they're doing right now, I mean, Mark, they're going door to door, getting people. What does that remind you of? Could you think of any time in history that would remind you of?
I haven't seen them going to door.
JD,
They're
Just
literally
like
doing it right
in,
now.
and JD Vance
okay,
said,
so they're going into a neighborhood and they're knocking on every single door in that neighborhood and sweeping entire neighborhoods.
Yes.
They are targeting individuals.
No,
And
I mean, okay. I
tell
should
me
say
how many city blocks in LA did they search every single house in that block?
what they did in LA is completely different from what they're doing now in Minneapolis. They're changing the rules. The rules now is that they are now going to door, which they never did before. They did not do that in Chicago. They did not do that in LA, did not do that in Maryland or DC. They're doing it now, and they're saying from now on, that's what they're doing. So don't compare what they did before.
and
What they're
here's
doing now is what we're talking about.
And here's a direct quote. I just want to give you this direct quote, Mark. Okay. This is from the Vice President, JD Vance. He said, I think we're going to see deportation numbers ramp up as we get more and more people online working for ICE going door to door. He's talking about going door to door on people, opening up doors, and that's how they're going to start. That's how they're going to start arresting people. I mean, that doesn't scare you. You can't think of any other time in history that that's happened.
Oh, it's happened multiple times in history.
But what's the
I
one? What's the
mean,
big one? What's the big one though?
well, I mean, Hitler did it in World War II.
There you
Yes.
That's
go.
probably the biggest, but they did the same thing. I can't remember the year. It was in Texas. When there was some white people that got killed or something, and they went door to door and
I remember
were
that.
hunting.
They somebody lied and said a black person did something. They went door to
Yeah,
door. I
yeah,
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. But what I'm saying though is, Mark, doesn't that scare you? Door to door, like you could have
yeah.
ICE agents at your door, just anybody. We're citizens, U.S. citizens. You, me, Chalo, V. We're all U.S. citizens, and he's talking about having ICE go door to door. That doesn't scare you.
It does if it was actually that. I think that means they don't care. They're going after people, right? Like there's a lot of stuff going on in the country. The Somali fraud issue in Minneapolis isn't just Minneapolis. And I think that's what he's referring to. Now, I'm not quoting him. I'm not, but you know, a politician who's Somali a couple miles away from us, me about 50, 75 miles, was just arrested for the same fraud.
No. Yes.
Like,
I feel
You
like that's a
know,
whole nother conversation though,
so
like the fraud, you know.
oh yeah. But what I'm saying is I think what he said he shouldn't have said.
He's the vice president. You got to remember, he's second in charge of this nation.
But
That is
but
that.
he shouldn't have said it that way.
Okay, so
That the way he said it was wrong. I think what he should have said is, we are going to go and we're going to do this in every corner of every city in every state. We are going to go after people who break the law.
sure,
But
if you,
they're not going
but they're
after
not,
people that break the law.
but that's the thing, Mark. This is what I'm trying to say, man. This is what I'm trying to point out to you, brother. You've already said that you don't agree with what JD Vance said. You've already also said that, you know, you agree that the officer could have done more to de-escalate that situation. You agree that, you know, the First Amendment right is tantamount to the American people. You also agree that you're a patriot. Everything that you're agreeing to goes against your final determination of what's happening here, Mark. And I just think that's because, and I understand, man, it's hard, right? It's a term for it called cognitive dissonance. It's hard. It's
So,
hard to admit.
so let me ask you a question.
Wait. Just let me finish real quick, and you can. All I'm saying is I get it because it's hard to admit, you know, hey, you know, this is wrong, but it's okay. I feel like that you should be able to be like, hey, you know, yeah, I support Trump. I support this administration, but what they're doing right here is wrong. This isn't the way that it should be. And you should be okay with saying that. That's okay. You know, because that's how I think you really feel as a good man, because I really do think that you're a good guy. But go ahead, ask your question.
So this is the thing. I've had cars drive at me, right? I've had to smash windows because I was getting run over. Okay? When you're in a situation, you deal with that situation. You're not thinking about, oh, is there somebody nearby? You deal with the situation because you're solely focused on that situation.
But see, I think as federal agents, you have to be aware of everybody that's around. I think that's part of your job. That's why you're a federal agent. If you're allowed to walk around and carry a gun on your hip, you better be aware of your surroundings. I think that's important, Mark.
When you're getting hit by a car, I don't care who you are. You're thinking about, I'm getting hit by a car. I'm going to do what I got to do.
But then why would you pull
when
out your
my boss-
phone if you're getting hit by a car?
He didn't pull out his phone. It's video. He already had it out.
No.
Yes,
You
yes.
you are factually wrong here. We see on the video that he whips out his phone. This is not body cam footage that we're looking at. All right, that video from Fox, that wasn't body cam footage. DHS said they will not give us the body cam footage.
I get what's happening here.
How is it possible?
I get what Mark. I get what.
How is
Hey,
it possible?
I get what's happening here. V, he's saying that he already had the phone out. Like and V's not saying that he whipped it out right there out front. I think that's what you're thinking, Mark. And V, I think you're thinking like, you know, Mark said that he's not having the phone out at all. Mark knows that the phone was out, but he didn't just whip it out right when he was out in front of the car. That's what you're saying, right, Mark? It was already out.
He had it
Okay,
out.
that's what. It's just, I think you guys got confused.
Walked around, and he raised it and took pictures of her, the whole car, everything.
Yeah,
So
no.
he didn't whip it out, take the gun out, and then shoot her.
No, I know. I think you guys just got confused. That's all. No, you guys both agree on what happened there. It was just a miscommunication. That's all. But what my thing is that, you know, you got to think, Mark. I mean, again, I'm going to ask you the same question. What would shooting her have done? How would it have changed this? What would my fault? What would not shooting her have changed? How would that have changed the situation of what would have happened to him in any way? Like, I mean, he shot her and you see he still got clipped. So what was the purpose of shooting her? What did that do besides end her life?
Self-defense.
Self-defense, how?
Self-defense.
He was already out of the way. There was nothing else he could do. Mark, he hit. Let's say I admit
was out of the way.
I admit that I admit he got clipped. I think he got clipped. I do. I think when she turned, she clipped him a little bit. You know what I mean? But then, what was shooting her going to change? What was shooting her do? How are you in self-defense when you're already clipped and the car is moving away from you? You already know the car is moving away. What would that have changed? She wasn't coming at him anymore. even if you thought she was.
But she was heading towards him when he fired.
And what about the
It
second and
was
third shots?
that's
The
training.
second
You're
and third
supposed to
shots,
stop.
if someone comes up to you and slaps you and then they run away and then you take your gun out, is that self-defense?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about here, because even if you want to say that the first shot was self-defense because you think that he was grazed by a car, the second and third shots, the car was already far away. He was under zero threat, and he was behind the vehicle at that point, and he shot her 2 more times.
Okay, so what story do you want us to believe? Was he firing through her side window, or was he behind the car? Because
The
you
first
said
shot, the first shot
two.
is
No. I'm asking a question. Let me finish, B, please.
okay. Go ahead.
The first shot was through the windshield. We can disagree or not whether it was self-defense, but the first shot was from the front of the car. You said he fired from the side of the car,
Yep.
and now you're saying he fired from behind the car. So which is it? Was he behind the car or beside the car?
It depends on the shot that you're looking at. The first shot, he was basically, his hand was inside the vehicle. The second shot, it was
Absolutely
like this.
not.
And the
How
third
can it
shot,
be inside the vehicle if it goes through the windshield? How can it be inside the vehicle? You're not making any sense. The first shot went through the windshield. That means that his hand was not inside the car.
no, because again, a shot could go the other way, right? Because we don't have any forensics, because the FBI will not allow,
Bro,
the FBI will not allow forensics, right? So the FBI will not allow forensics. So what we're doing is, what we all can do is only look at what ex-cops and ex-military veterans have said. And so there are plenty of theories of what happened because the FBI won't allow an investigation to occur. And in one theory, he actually shot from inside the vehicle, shot her, and it went through the windshield that way.
Wait, I'm confused. So wait, you're saying that the first shot was from inside the vehicle, B? That's news to me. I thought the first shot. I don't know. I gotta agree with Mark on that. I don't understand that, brother.
So there are multiple military, ex-military, and cops and ex-cops that have tried to come on the talk shows and said what actually happened. Okay. And some are saying that he did shoot her, like from the front of the car. Some are saying that they don't know if that's exactly what happened, because when they look at the whole of the fragments of the way the bullet felt, of the way the bullet looks. Not the bullet, the hole the bullet leaves, that they are saying that it may be that the shot was fired from inside the vehicle and exited the front. So right?
Okay. I haven't heard that.
And what I'm saying is, right now, we don't know all of the details because the FBI won't allow forensics to actually do anything. So they have told the local police that they are not allowed to investigate this, and they will not be sharing any data. So at this point, all we can do is now speculate, because we will never get the truth, because the FBI said they will not allow it. So what I have always said, no matter what way you think the first shot was, in the vehicle, front of the vehicle, whether he was grazing her or not, the second and third shots, that's the ones that I keep focused on, because she was not a threat. He was not nowhere even in front of that vehicle at all. You can see his legs, but yet he continued to fire upon her.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what training is, okay? Because I've been to firearms school. I have to recertify every year. You fire until there is no threat, right? The first round was fired because of the threat. But until that threat is gone and you know it, you keep firing. So he fired a couple more times. That's not because it's vicious or anything like that. It is simply, that's the way you are trained to shoot.
So I went to basic firearms training in California when I used to shoot regularly, and so you're not talking to someone who's never shot a gun, and you're not talking to someone who hasn't actually gone to the range on a daily basis for months on end. So when I was trained by a range expert, right, this guy competes, actively competes, and also trains people for self-defense. The threat that you're talking about is a gun in my fucking face. I'm sorry, I can swear. I'll
No,
stop.
absolutely
Wait,
not.
wait. Let me finish. I let you finish. Now I'm asking for the same. So the threat that you're talking about is a gun in your face, or a dog that is grabbing your arm. If a dog bites you and then runs away, it's no longer a threat. If someone shoots me and then runs away, he's no longer a threat, even though he shot me. The threat means that there is an active threat of life to you that second, not a previous threat of life 5 seconds ago. That your threat that you're talking about, the threat on your life is active. Not that it happened 5 seconds ago. And what you're talking about is he may have had a belief that his life was in danger 5 seconds ago, but then he kept shooting at her. So that is not legal. That is not legal under even under the terms of war. I mean, let alone whether ICE agents can shoot an American citizen. So
Okay, play back the video. Play back the video. All 3 shots took place in 1.5 seconds. It wasn't over 10 or 15 seconds. It was bam, bam, bam. Done. It wasn't multiple seconds or...
I literally don't care if it's 30 milliseconds. So that's not my point, Mark. The point was the threat no longer exists, and he continued to shoot his gun.
Okay, so in 1 second, he had to decide whether the threat was over or not.
Yes, that's his job.
No, that's not reality.
That is his job. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be working for ICE.
No, it isn't his job. That's why you fire 3 or 4 times and then you reevaluate.
No, Mark, that's not what you're supposed to do. I don't know what training you've been through.
Well, I did look it up.
Any firearms training course, they tell you fire a minimum of 2 rounds before.
If there's a gun in your face.
Well, and I did look it up. And what Mark is saying that most departments do use that language, shoot until the threat is stopped. But then there's also nuance to that. It says it doesn't mean shooting endlessly. It says stop when the person no longer can pose an immediate threat. So I get what you're saying, Mark. You're saying,
3 rounds.
Right? No. I get what you. I get your point there. Like, it was a split second. He only fired 3 rounds, so he didn't have time to determine that in that 1 second. So I mean, that's a valid point. I'm not gonna argue that. I guess the main thing here is that we need to decide how much of our rights we want to give up to allow ICE to do what it's doing. Would you all agree that what's happening here in the United States, that people are going to lose their rights, U.S. citizens, in order for ICE to continue with the agenda? Would you agree? At least agree with that?
I think we already have.
Like Mark, would you agree with that?
No.
Well, they're locking up. They're detaining U.S. citizens, and these are people that I mean, yeah.
And
so
we
that's
discussed that, right?
Because right. So
when you have people breaking the law.
No. Not even people. Not even breaking the law. Just people. Like, there's been so many people that have been detained or stopped. They're just pulling over cars. They're U.S. citizens. And I mean, that's a hit on your rights, right there. Right? Like, I mean, and they're going to continue to go door to door, and they're going to ask you for your identification. Or if I'm walking down the street, Supreme Court said that, hey, they can look at the color of my skin, the way I talk, and they can go ahead and profile me, and they can ask for my identification. That's not a hit on my rights. That's a hit on our rights, Mark. Are you okay with that?
In some states, that is allowed.
Yeah. So he's got to worry about that. Just walking down the street.
I don't know if Texas is
It's not just states. It's the Supreme Court allowed this. So it's now federally allowed. ICE can do it in any state that they want to. So the Supreme Court said that you can target them by race. You can target them by if they have a job that they're working at for. If you're a dishwasher and you're brown, you can be targeted by ICE. I have to ask you a personal question, Mark. Rashawn has specifically said, and I hope you agree with him, that people have been taken off the street for being U.S. citizens, but they just looked wrong. They looked brown. right? They did not commit a crime. They literally were just, some of them were shopping at Target. Some of them were walking on their way to school. They were U.S. citizens, but they were still arrested by ICE, detained, sometimes for 2 or 3 days. Then they were let go. Now, put yourself in that situation. Now let's ask if Mark was named Marco, and if he was brown, and if you were walking down the street and you were brown and you were targeted because you had a long beard, and they said, he looks funny, he's not white, he's brown, he's a long beard, and you were detained for 3 days. And when you were detained for 3 days, you had no access to an attorney, you couldn't talk to any one of your family, you had no ability to communicate on the outside, you were not given a working toilet, you were not given food that you could eat that was all moldy, and you left 3 days out of that. Would you still be happy with your government, Mark?
Well, that's not happening, but
It is happening. It is
if you're
happening to people
detained,
right now. I would like you to answer the question because it's happening to people right now.
Okay, real quick. So let's take out all the other stuff he
so
said. Just being detained for 3 hours. Just say you were detained for 3 hours. Would you be happy with that?
it happens. I've been in that situation.
So you're okay with
I've
American
been
citizens?
detained. I've been detained because they're doing an investigation, and under our system of laws, it happens. It's
So
not
this is just
great. It's not fun. Do I agree that it has to happen? Yes.
okay. So it's collateral damage. Okay, so
People
we gotta
need
wrap.
to get.
No, no,
Let's wrap
we
this
got
up.
to wrap it up. So
Give us your final thoughts, Mark.
My final thoughts are, let's see what happens with this investigation, because right now it's a lot of conjecture. And I think that as a society, we have to agree that the rule of law has to exist.
okay. What about you, V?
That's it.
Yeah, the rule. I just want to say a couple things. First of all, there will be no investigation. The FBI already said there will be no investigation. ICE has already said there will be no investigation. There will be no new information coming out. It is surprising to hear you say the rule of law must be followed when Donald Trump is a felon, a 34 times convicted felon, and yet escaped going to prison only because he became president. So yet you want the rule of law to be followed by poor immigrants, but Donald Trump is above the law. So that does make no sense whatsoever. I feel like ICE, this has hit a turning point, and I know Chalo and Sean will get this. I don't know if you will, Mark, but there is a hierarchy, a social hierarchy of life, whether we want to believe it or not. And white women are on top of that hierarchy. And when you have a segment of society that is okay with white women being killed in broad daylight when they've done nothing wrong, now you have that segment of society no longer, they don't care about anything. We've seen this before. When something happens to minorities, people say whatever. But when something happens to white women, typically they get rage, they get upset. And that's not happening. Instead, what's happening is this guy has a $300,000 GoFundMe page that's almost fully funded. It was up to $285,000 when I looked at it earlier today. You have people that are continuing to say this has to happen, and the people on the left should be targeted. I think this is honestly, I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist. You know how I hate conspiracy theories, but I feel like this is going to be another American Revolution, because there's literally no way that anyone can say that our rights are not being violated, and now we're being killed. And I think this is the line that's been drawn in the sand. I don't think this is going to get better. I think the violence is just beginning.
All right. I'll leave you all with this. I think it amazes me how the "don't tread on me" and the "out of my cold dead hands" people are now okay with ICE. This is supposed to be their time. This was supposed to be y'all time to, raise up. This is the whole thing. This is the whole reason why these people were fighting for the Second Amendment and for their rights, and were stocking bullets and guns and everything like that. But instead, they just sitting back and letting exactly what they were raising their flags for and everything happen right in front of their face. So it just amazes me. I believe that this is a very scary precedent that's happening. We have a department that is just going to balloon now because of the big, beautiful bill and its budget. And it's going to have a budget bigger than most countries' defense budget. And it's aimed at the American people. It's aimed at us. So like V said, it's only going to get worse. And the main thing is that people need to understand that as ICE grows, our rights shrink. because you can't conduct the type of things that ICE is doing without taking away the rights from the American people. And I think that's a very important understanding that we all need to realize. But that's all. That's what I'll leave you with. Charlo?
I'm gonna end it with this. First of all, congratulations, Chicago Bears beating Green Bay. I gotta throw that in there. There's no way we go off the pod without me saying that.
Yes, sir.
But I look at it like this. I don't think that we should be spending so much money on ICE. Okay, let's take care of immigration. Let's handle immigration. But the amount of money and effort that we're spending on this, I'd rather Gestapo crooked politicians like this. You know, I'd rather them stormtroops and politicians' house and all the legal stuff that they do. I'd rather that, to be honest with you, you know, than all this, you know, this ICE stuff. That's just completely honest in the way I feel about it. And like I said, I'm not against ICE. I'm against some of the tactics that they use, because I mean, if you're gonna have an immigration policy and supposedly put the shutdown, you need some sort of strict enforcement base like a ICE. But I don't think, you know, the way they're going about it. I mean, it makes sense with you know, who put them in power, but I just don't think that, you know, they're going about it the right way. Like I said, I don't see a lot of de-escalation. I see a lot of escalation, especially by them. And I mean, that's sad, but that, you know, that's the world we live in. Like I said, if I could see this towards politicians, I'd be excited. I'd be excited, but you know, just, you know, watching this, you spend all this money to get immigrants is, you know, it's kind of beyond me. So, I mean, with that, I hope we can come to some kind of midway point. We don't have to, you know, put the hammer down like this. And, you know, because, you know, now you got U.S. She's not the first U.S. citizen to die over this. You guys know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so we gotta do something, because, like I said, you can't have a situation where, you know, women are getting shot in the face. I mean, over traffic stuff. I mean, like I said, this was in the middle of a street, a suburban street. It looked like. It didn't look like they were in Times Square. So that's all I got, guys. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate the support. Tell your friends, make sure you like, subscribe, comment on the video. You know, we like to hear the comments. Some of them are crazy. So that's all we got. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right, now.